You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
Very thankful to 12, man. They've won us games.
These other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
Our skill set worked great together. Like, he was more speed and I was more power, and then we put together, it was like thunder and lightning, you know.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, welcome in, everyone. I hope you're hearing us on the Zone 1150. I'm not sure if you are. I know we're having some technical difficulties this morning, but who isn't? Texas A&M baseball, OB, they've won 13 out of their last 14 games. It is their best starts in 2015. They are 33-4, and 11-4 in SEC play. What say you, Olin Buchanan?
I say I can't wait till 11 o'clock to see them play again. Let's keep that streak going.
Keep it going, baby.
You know, the game rained out last night. I was very disappointed because I was planning my whole evening around watching the game. So I had to watch some of Irma's shows with her.
Oh, what kind of show? Well, hold on. Your wife probably watches better shows than
she likes some. She's watching some show right now called The Tourist. It's set in like Australia and then on the Ireland, and it's some.
Is it a Netflix show?
I think so. Yeah.
Is there killing involved?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah. So, there's...
Is there a hero?
Yeah. The hero's actually also a villain, so it's kind of weird that way.
Like, huh?
Because he's...
The anti-hero.
He got amnesia, and now he was a bad guy, but since he's got amnesia, he's turned into kind of a good guy.
Huh.
So anyway, so watch that, but I would much rather watch Ryan Brauninger.
Yeah, I would too.
And Jace Lavalette and Brady Montgomery and the boys.
I could see you watching this show called Dance Moms. I think that's your kind of show. It's about a bunch of moms and their kids are on this dance team, and they go through competition and they bicker and they yell at each other.
No,
that seems like your kind of show.
I got enough of seeing that, women bickering and yelling at each other when I was working at a bank back in White Oak, Texas one summer back around 1979.
Hey, by the way, this is TexAgs Radio.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. And we are in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yes, we are.
Okay. And this show is presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Yes, thank you so much, David.
Yeah. And this particular hour, though.
Yeah, the Go Hour.
It is presented by The Warehouse.
CC Creation.
Yeah. And you're Olin Buchanan.
I am.
You're a Heisman Trophy voter.
I am.
You're our columnist.
Sometimes, yeah.
You're our friend.
I hope to be.
You're like a therapist, a counselor, a friend of many.
Friend of many. I would like to be a friend of many.
Yeah. And I'm your host, I guess, David Nuño, your orator, if you will. And today is Friday, April the 19th, 2024.
Yeah, how about that?
It's a good year.
The last Friday before muster.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is right. So we got baseball to talk about this morning, and we'll have the baseball bunch here. The spring game, though, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it. If you haven't heard, they've moved it up.
Yeah, going to play at noon.
Move it up an hour just in case the bad weather that comes in the afternoon doesn't disrupt it. So
I think they should have moved it up to 11. But that's only because I wake up early anyway, so I might as well just get it
over with. Yeah. I am excited about it. We're going to talk about things that we want to see in this particular game. We're going to talk a little bit about the Legends game. I'll kind of give you a rundown
that's fine.
of the roster out there. But this is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. Let me take a sip of my TexAgs coffee. This is really good advertising when I do this. Ay, qué rico. It makes everybody want to have some coffee.
Yeah, I think you got to say that Spanish word, qué rico,
Ay, qué rico, señor.
Yeah. I think that makes it, especially since that coffee's coming from El Salvador.
El Salvador. All right, let's get into the three things we want to see this weekend. All right? I'm going to let you go first, buddy.
Well, I want to see more home runs from the Texas A&M baseball team.
Okay, more home runs.
Yeah, because home runs are fun.
Yeah,
especially when it's your guys hitting them.
And Ags dig the long ball.
Yeah. So I want to see. I'm probably getting greedy here. I want to see a sweep of Alabama.
Oh, but he's so greedy, so good though. Keep talking to me.
Yeah,
Bill.
that's the way I am.
Yeah.
I can't. I have to get more. And
¿Y qué más?
See, and then the third thing I want to see, I want to see the spring game conclude with nobody getting as much as a hangnail. I want to see that spring. I don't care what else I see so much as I just want to see everybody get through healthy.
Right.
Because I think that's one of the things about spring football. You know, I've seen guys get hurt in a spring game and lost. And I don't want to see that.
Well, I'm going to go through mine. Tell me how you feel about these.
Okay.
Thing number one, I kind of want to see some havoc created by Nick Scorton. I'm not talking about sacks where people get hurt, obviously. I just want to see him in what I think I've seen in some drills. I want to see it in a real-time situation, semi-real-time.
I would like to see how he plays the run.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows he can rush the passer. How does he do against the run?
I'm just excited about it. It's like a new toy. I want to see it.
Right.
Let's watch Nick Scorton do his thing. Here's the second thing I want to see, and it might be number one on the list, but this is the second thing. I want to see the Aggies win the series today. Series done. All right? If we get a sweep, but I'd like to be able to go to bed on Friday night
knowing that the
Aggies have won the series.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. Now, maybe they split, maybe they win both, but let's take care of the series tonight.
Yes, let's do.
And the third thing I want to see it by the end of the weekend, but I don't know if I'm going to get this. I'm asking, all right? I'm a wide receiver of merit to say, I'm transferring to A&M.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to happen this weekend because I think we have somebody coming on Sunday, and the dude from Penn State, I believe, is coming Sunday. Keandre Lambert-Smith. Sorry.
Yeah, all three of them.
All three of them. I would love, and his family to come too. But I'd like to see that because I like our wide receivers. I just want to love them. You know?
Yeah.
I want to love. You can't lose Aniyah Smith and feel like you're better at that position, right?
And then you lost the kid from Troy.
Jabri Barber.
Jabri Barber. So, and we don't know how long he's going to be out, but the fact that he got hurt is unfortunate.
I don't feel like he's back tomorrow. That's the vibe I'm getting. If you haven't watched the Luchador, we did one yesterday, kind of out of the blue one. I think people may have expected before the spring game, but we released that yesterday. A lot of great insight there. But yeah, I'd love to see a wide receiver join the group, somebody that can be that dog.
And you know, look, that dog might be on the roster right now. Maybe it's Noah Thomas. You know, maybe it is. Maybe it's Janae Walker.
Maybe
because I mean he was good last year. Yeah. What does he do to raise his game?
Well, they could be dogs.
I would want a whole dog sled team, right? Yeah. Just dogs everywhere.
I want the dog pound.
The dog pound
in Aggieland.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah. Bark it.
You do it. You're better.
Yeah.
That seemed like a Chihuahua.
That's a Chihuahua?
Just kidding.
That's like Buck. Big old dog. Big dogs. Yeah, you can't have too many receivers.
No, but I hope they emerge as alphas and as the dudes. But let's bring in another one too.
Sure. I'm with
Competition brings the best out of people.
I'm with you on that.
Hopefully.
Well, look at last year when you had an injury, and so you had to turn to somebody, depth, and it turned out, Janae Walker turned out and played really well, surprisingly, perhaps.
So let's kind of think of this. When you look around the roster, you had needs at cornerback. Mm-hmm. You got some cornerbacks.
Yeah.
You had need at linebacker with Edgerrin Cooper leaving. I think you did okay, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
You had needs on the defensive line because people left, even though you felt good about your defensive line, but people left. You replenished, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel good about the defensive line.
You needed to bring in another offensive lineman. You brought in another offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I don't know if you needed to bring in another running back, but you brought one in to make it a stronger group, right?
Sure.
E.J. Smith, let's go.
Let's go.
You need another wide receiver. You brought in two. It's down to one. So let's even it out.
Absolutely. Look, anytime there's an opportunity to make your team better, you make your team better.
Yep.
And if that means bringing in a wide receiver, another defensive lineman, another offensive lineman, whatever it takes, man, you're in here to win this year. Forget about the sometimes they have a 2 or 3 year plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the plan should be to win this year.
Yeah, win every year, baby.
Yeah.
So let's go over the Legends game.
Okay.
Do you pay attention to that?
Not really, but I'll look up. I mean, I know for the fans and everything, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I know if I was a former player, I'd probably want to participate.
If I participated in that game, there would be training involved. There'd be route running. There'd be I'd have to be in tip-top shape. Unfortunately, I didn't do that last weekend, but
I think these guys
stay in shape all year long.
Well, even the ones that have gotten out of shape would run circles around you.
Oh, 100%. There isn't anybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, but I don't know. I can't remember if Christian Michael's involved, but every year it seems like he was involved. He would do a backflip.
There's one guy on that list that we've seen recently that would mop the floor with the world, Ryan O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's already jacked.
Yeah, he really is.
So let's go through Team Crow, okay?
Okay,
the Maroon team, Team Crow.
All right.
Head coach, Cullen Gillespie.
Oh, my. If a team takes on the personality of its coach, that team is going to be everywhere. Crazy.
The other coach, Terrence Murphy.
Okay.
Business icon.
Murph.
Right?
Yeah.
All-time quarterback, Jake Hubenek.
Always will have a fondness for Jake Hubenek for staying.
The next guy was on the show The Bachelor, I believe.
Oh, really?
Easy Awachiku. Wasn't he on that show?
I don't know.
I believe he was. I'm fairly sure he was. I think that's your kind of show.
Never saw it.
Kendrick Perkins, TexAgs contributor. Floyd Raven. Danny Gorer.
Okay.
Andre Brooks, excuse me.
Okay.
Kingsley Kiki.
I was always a big fan of Kingsley Kiki.
Ike Lyles.
Okay.
DeShazer Everett.
Oh, DeShazer. That interception at the goal line against Alabama. Another big play is he picked up the blocked field goal, Myles Garrett blocked, and returned it for a touchdown just before the half against Auburn.
That's right.
And they ended up winning that game that game by the slimmest of margins.
That's
Huge
right.
play.
Carl Roaches.
Man, I watched Carl play when I was a Texas fan. I hated him because he was so good.
He's out there.
Man, Carl's got to be as old as I am.
But very much in shape, I'm assuming.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Let's do Team Picard.
That's the guy I'd want to watch the most. It's Carl Roaches.
The white team.
Okay.
Head coach. Are you familiar with Jake Matthews?
Yeah. Jake
NFL
Matthews.
player, by the way?
Player, yeah.
Trevion Williams, the other coach.
Okay.
Another one. Oh, I just
Trevion.
realized I didn't see it listed as all-time QB. Jake Hubenek making an appearance here. Yeah.
That means all
typically,
time.
yeah. Malcolm Kennedy,
man. Hey, he caught that eventual game-winning touchdown pass against Alabama in 2012.
Jeff Fuller.
Another outstanding receiver.
Ryan O'Brien.
Well, if you need somebody knocked down in the game, I think Ryan can do it. It's a flag game.
One of the best sound bites to come out of A&M in the last few years, Leon O'Neal.
Oh, Leon. I always liked Leon because he just played so hard and it meant so much to him.
Sammy Davis.
I covered Sammy.
Spencer Neely.
Spencer Neely should be on the other team with Cullen Gillespie, but maybe it's best that you don't have both of those personalities together.
Ben Puig.
Ben who?
Ben Puig. Puig.
That must have been before, at one period when I wasn't covering them.
Brandon Leon E. Brandon Leone, ladies and gentlemen.
I saw Brandon run for a touchdown against Texas.
Darrell Walker.
Was it? First of all, he had just a very extremely successful career in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it was Darrell Walker that had I hope this is right. I think it's Darrell Walker that had this reaching catch against Alabama, like inside the 15 in the first quarter, that led to the famous "oh my gracious" touchdown pass. Like that was the play that got them down so close, if my memory serves.
Yep, there you go. That is your Legends game.
On that set last.
And some people who played nasty, they hit you.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's getting hit here, but a little nasty for you. All right, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up, 979-693-1150. What are you looking at to see this morning, or I should say tomorrow morning, when it comes to the spring game? We'll hear from you. I'm going to tell you some things that I'm looking out for. I know OB's got a few things as well. 979-693-1150. You can text us at that number if you want. Let's go around the room and say hello to the people. We go behind the glass and say hi to Cade Bickham. Cade, a little bit of a stressful morning this morning?
Yeah, something like that, a little bit. We're figuring it out, though. We're figuring it out. Everything's going well now.
What is on your mind this AM?
Well, let's see.
He sounded like Johnny 2 times.
I feel,
yeah, we're figuring it out.
I got it. What does he say?
Get the
papers. Yeah, there you go. You know what we're talking about?
I do not, unfortunately, know what you're talking about.
Okay, are you familiar with Goodfellas?
Yes, I've watched it once, yes.
Okay, excuse me, why only once?
My dad likes The Godfather more.
Yeah, but you can like The Godfather. I do too. I like The Godfather more too.
But I've only seen it one time, though.
And did you remember the movie? Do you think it was good?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Would you say great?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. That's the only way you can work on this show, is saying that Goodfellas was great.
Yeah, I would say it's great.
Agree?
Yeah.
OB, it's great?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great-ish?
Yeah, that's a great movie.
It's great, yeah. Okay.
By the way, our man Ryan Brauninger corrected me, and I appreciate him doing so. It was actually Kendrick McNeil that made that catch. So my memory did not serve. But was Darrell Walker, was he the guy possibly that caught the long Johnny Manziel's last touchdown pass
against Duke,
which would have been the last of his collegiate career?
I'm sure Jackson Moss can fact-check that here in a moment. Sorry, Kate, you were going to tell us a thought about something about life. Let's go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say I feel pretty good about the baseball team's doubleheader today. I think that I'm assuming that they're playing 7-inning games. I think that bodes well for our pitching. So, Prager just threw 7 in his last outing, and so I think that bodes well for our pitching, and I think we should have a good day. So let's win 2.
Obi, I'm going to read you the stat that I found this morning.
Okay.
The Alabama offense owns a .302 average, 72 doubles, 9 triples, 61 home runs, leading to 283 runs. By the way, dating back to May 4th of last season, Alabama has won 8 straight series at the Joe.
Sounds like a team you should bet on when they're at home.
But
unless you're their coach.
Oh, look at you. I saw the eye contact. I'm like, where's he going with this? All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson Moss. Jackson, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, guys. And by the way, I just want to go ahead and clarify it was Darrell Walker. You're right about that one.
Okay.
It was a 44-yard touchdown. But the real question is, do you remember who kicked the extra point?
That's the real question.
2013 Lambeau?
You're right. It is Lambeau. Yeah. And then the final touchdown was an interception returned by Tony Hurd Jr.
Yep. I remember that one.
I was actually at that game. And I remember how it started out, and the Duke fans were talking so much trash to us. We were just sitting there, and then Johnny came out and was Johnny. So, yeah. But Obi, I need you to cue the equestrian noises. Thank you. The number 4 Texas A&M equestrian team cruised past number 5 Georgia in the NCAA quarterfinals Thursday morning at the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida. With the win, the Aggies are on to the semifinals for the first time since 2022 and will face TCU. Actually, I think right now, as they start at 8 o'clock. So then we were talking about it a little bit already, but the Legends game will have nearly 30 former Texas A&M football student athletes and coaches participating in it at Kyle Field tomorrow. The Legends game will take place at halftime of the 2024 Maroon and White game. The number 12 Texas A&M women's tennis team is set to face off against number 32 Vanderbilt today in the quarterfinal round of the 2024 SEC Women's Tennis Tournament, with first serve set for 11 a.m. The Aggies kickstarted their postseason campaign at the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament, where they will face number 7 seeded Vanderbilt, who secured its spot in the quarterfinal round after defeating Ole Miss in its opening match 4-2. And then finally, you guys already mentioned it, but due to inclement weather, the number 1 Texas A&M baseball team will play number 18 Alabama. The game was postponed last night, and now they have a doubleheader today at 11 a.m.
By the way, Germ Doc telling us they're playing 9 innings today. No. They're not playing 7.
Well, that's up to Ryan Prager if they're going to be playing 9 innings.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll be playing 7. Hopefully because with 10
run rule.
Yeah,
vamos.
But Alabama's obviously pretty good, so you got to respect all, fear none.
I've learned that our pitching staff doesn't like to play full games. They just like to go in early.
Yes, sir. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, buddy. I think we had a lot to say.
Yeah.
Cade and Jackson over here just taking half a segment.
A lot of things going on this weekend.
There is a lot of things going on. We'll hit a break, and we'll do a little bank on it. All right?
Okay.
You've almost already started banking on stuff, but we're gonna make it official because last week we both had a very good bank on it. You're just gonna nod your head, yeah.
Because I can't remember. I know yours.
Mine was
I can't remember mine.
You definitely had one. One of the things you said absolutely came to fruition. Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember what, but it was great. I don't. I just remember thinking to myself,
credit for something what it was.
I just remember thinking, wow, we actually knocked it out the park like A&M.
Yeah, like Lavalette. And Montgomery back to back.
Got an email from somebody yesterday who was a fraternity brother of my brother's. Okay, here in College Station. He's like, Nuño, I want to pick your brain about moving back to Aggieland. Right. So we haven't had that conversation yet. But I'm like, dude, if you're looking for a job, the Association of Former Students, and I'd probably say dude to him, even though I haven't talked to him in years. They are looking for professionals right now to join their team in many different departments. That's what the association is doing. They've got options in fundraising, former student programs, marketing, several other areas, and they are the nation's premier alumni association, the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story. How did you hear? You know that story, right? They are a part of that. Don't miss an opportunity to help the association with their big events like the Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. And join a team that exemplifies the Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. So if you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that you would think would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to learn about each position. It's the Association of Former Students. Welcome in, everybody. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk about Mike Evans for a quick moment. He's going to return to Aggieland. He's been around recently, but he's coming back on April 27th for the Mike Evans Family Foundation Tee-Off. You can join him at Big Schultz Golf for a great night. There's going to be golf, games, foods, drinks, other family-friendly activities. And proceeds from the event will help out college scholarships and give back to the community. You can purchase individual tickets or get a group together to fill out a tee box, which will fit 6. There's also sponsorship available for companies who want to get involved. Everything they do is for family first. Children 3 and under get in free, so bring your kids and join the fun at the Mike Evans Family Foundation Tee-Off Bash. You can visit their website, MikeEvansFamilyFoundation.org, or text Tee-Off Bash to 76278. Again, that is 76278 to purchase your tickets today. Again, that's text Tee-Off Bash, all in one word, to 76278 for tickets. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, David Nuño, Olin Buchanan. And let's take a moment to give some props to our guy Jackson over here. Today's his last show. He's been a phenomenal addition to the team. Great at Social Center, great with ideas, really good energy, and we're going to miss him being around.
Yeah, good voice.
Quality voice.
Yeah. Someone that, like I always say, has a face for radio and voice for rodeo. I can really appreciate a good radio voice.
Could you see him like taking your gig at the R&B station?
Yeah. Let's give him kind of a Barry White kind of delivery.
Jackson,
you know who Barry White is, Jackson?
No.
Oh my God.
I know the name. I know the name.
Oh really?
Yeah, I know.
He's a jazz singer. You know that, right? Country and jazz singer.
Oh, yeah, the jazz and country singer, Barry White.
He was more. No.
Yeah, he was not that.
No. But I'll tell you this: like if you're ever at home with your significant other, if you turn on some Barry White, the evening's going to go well.
Oh Lord!
And I know there's a ton of people hearing my voice that are saying, "Heck yeah, Olin."
Jackson.
Yeah.
Can you give us one of the reports you gave us earlier in a R&B smooth kind of, hey girl, kind of voice?
Oh man, yeah, sure.
Sure, David. Thanks. Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
The number 4 Texas A&M equestrian team cruised past number 5 Georgia.
Okay.
In the NCEA quarterfinals Thursday morning.
Yeah. At
the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
With the win, the Aggies are on to the semifinals for the first time since 2022 and will face TCU.
I think I'm ready to move on from this bit. What do you think?
Yeah, you're telling me, dude.
I think Jackson might start getting some fan mail from females.
No, I think he's gonna get creepy.
Female fan
mail. All right,
mail.
there's no way you set me up for that. And then, by the way, to my parents listening right now,
you're not that creepy.
Yeah, sorry.
You had your whole family here last weekend, right?
I did have my whole family here.
Well, hey, you've been great, and I know you'll be around a lot from time to time. So, congratulations on a good run. Let's finish off the show on the high note. All right?
Yeah. Thank you guys for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. It's been super fun.
You've been great. Great addition. Bank on it time, OB, presented by Vera Bank. Authentic, relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. You can learn more at verabank.com. What are you going to bank on?
Well, of course, I'm banking on. Let's say 6 home runs.
6?
At least 6 home runs this weekend. That's just 2 a game.
I mean, we might do that in the first inning.
Yeah, it could happen. So, but I'm naturally conservative in all things. So I'll say.
Tell me
6.
more.
I'll say 6 home runs. I'm banking on that.
Okay.
For the Aggies. Now, is the Dreamweaver, does he have anything going on?
He does have. Do you have the women's? Oh, my voice cracked there. Do you have the women's? Excuse me. Do you have the women's schedule in front of you? Women's tennis schedule?
Didn't I say something about him playing Vanderbilt?
Oh yeah, for this weekend. Yeah.
So I'm banking on the Dreamweaver and his team to continue their incredible run of success. In fact, why don't I throw the softball team in? I don't even know who they're playing, but I'm figuring they're going to do really well.
All they do is win.
All they do is win. Consistently.
I'm going to bank on Tanner Jones, all right?
Tanner.
Okay, look, we already know Prager brings it, right? Like, Prager brings it. We know the offense is good, but I'm picking Tanner Jones to have back-to-back solid, right, performances. That's what I'm banking on. I'm going to bank on one other thing. Hayden Schott. He goes yard today.
That's one of those 6. Call your shot.
I just called it.
You did.
I just called it. Jackson, you want to call a shot this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to say...
He's like, I guess. Yeah. Sure, David, you already embarrassed me with a very white
No,
voice.
I was actually looking up the women's tennis schedule and the softball, so I wasn't really locked in. But Ryan Prager delivers another dominant performance today. How about that?
If we're all right, shot goes yard today. Prager, Tanner, and 6 homers.
At least.
Not in one game for the weekend.
It may be. They had 4 against Air Force.
So what you're saying is there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance.
Bama's good, man. They're really good.
That's right. And you know what?
So is A&M.
You know what great teams do?
They beat good teams.
They beat good teams.
And sometimes they step on their throat and double-digit beat them in the first game of a series.
They're like Dirty Harry. Did you ever see that movie, Dirty?
Of course.
And the guy's laying there with the wounded leg, and you know what he does? Dirty Harry right there on the field at Kezar Stadium.
He just shoots.
He takes because he's trying to get some information out of it. He takes the heel of his boot and puts it right in the wound and grinds it. Yeah, just grinds it. That's what I want to see the Aggies do.
What would Charles Bronson's death wish do?
That was a great.
Right.
Yeah, that was Charles.
That's my kind of guy right there.
He's not trying to bother anybody. He's just going about his business. But if you bother him,
he's going to take care of business.
He's going to take it. You probably did.
You know, they made a remake of it recently.
Yeah,
it was okay. It's not Death Wish though.
Some things you shouldn't remake. It's just not going to work.
Oh, you don't want to see a remake of The Godfather with Justin Timberlake? No.
You know what I don't get? I'm going to get in trouble here. I don't get all these movies like Ghostbusters and the remake, Ocean's
40,
whatever, and they do the same movie. They just do it with women, and we're supposed to say, what a great movie because it's the same movie. It's just with women. I've seen it.
Yeah, I don't need to see it again.
I don't need to see it. I don't get that.
Well, no, I'm not going to go there. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Some commentary. I don't want to open up that door. All right, let's talk Heritage Films right now. That is Chance McClain's company. He's a good buddy of mine. He can be a good buddy of yours. In fact, if you call him, I bet you guys will get along. You'll be like, man, I really like this dude. 713-893-8341. He connects with all the people that he does their life story, right? He does these documentaries, and he's going to become your friend because he asks all the questions that a friend would ask, right? He wants to get to your story. He wants to know it. He wants to tell it, and he wants you to tell it on camera. Tell your father's story, your uncle's story, your family ranch story, your family business. All these stories can be made in a 2-hour documentary that Chance will put together for you with this awesome crew. He is creative. He is awesome. He's done so many different gigs. He was in the military. He's started a radio station. He's been a program director, Broadway musicals, movies, you name it, red carpet shows. He's done it all, and he's doing the Heritage Film right now. But he's also doing the Year Flicks, 20-minute videos, Q&A, benchmark videos for the kids, right? 6th grade to 7th grade. Find out what they're into, what they like, what they don't like, some funny questions, green screen in the background, edited the best way. The phone number for Heritage Film, 713-893-8341. Or you can go to yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com.
Talking to his girlfriend right here.
This is Barry White, if you didn't know.
I'm telling you,
He didn't care.
You play some Barry White for your significant other, the evening's gonna turn out well.
Or maybe cook her a nice dinner, a little wine.
It's all part of it. But
all part of the
Barry White is just that's the slam dunk at the end of the fast break.
Yeah, I don't think this gets me going. Maybe I don't think it. I don't know.
And it's not supposed to get you
going.
going.
Because I'm always going. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, by the way, OB, if you didn't know that. Presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Got a text from the 713. Good morning, guys. I live in Houston, but my coworkers are in Dallas and are reporting that Jerry Jones, in support of Calipari, has offered double the NIL deal for any Kentucky player that transfers to Arkansas.
Well, if that's the case, yeah, good move, Support your team.
Yeah. I would like somebody to transfer to A&M. By the way, there is a report out that Toledo transfer guard Raheem Moss has cut his list to 4 schools, one of those schools being Texas A&M. If you want to know a little bit about Moss, he's 6'4", 205, and led them with 15.5 points, 5.4 rebounds. He shoots 46% from the field, but 30% from beyond the arc.
6'4", 205.
That's
Hey, Jackson, is this a relative? You're about 6'4", 205, right?
I think
maybe a little heavier than that.
I mean, in muscle, yeah, for sure.
The Moss twins.
Yeah, no, I don't think the genetics are based off height and weight. So
okay.
We're not related.
Can you play basketball?
I'm actually no, that's my worst sport.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
No, yeah.
I see an opportunity here. I'm kidding. Jackson, you have the SEC times, or excuse me, the game times for A&M versus Bama, and just the channels because people are asking.
Yeah, it looks like they're both going to be on SEC Network Plus today, and then also
I believe the second game was moved to ESPNU.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, SEC Plus for the first game at 11 a.m. And you guys can fact check me, but I'm fairly sure A&M baseball tweeted out they moved that game to ESPNU, the evening game.
Okay. What time's the late game?
The late game is going to be at
6.
The second game today?
Yeah, that would be the late game.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be at 6, yeah.
Yeah, the nightcap, 6 o'clock.
The nightcap. So I'm pretty sure that one's ESPNU. So if he can fact check the Aggie Twitter account, I'm fairly sure that is correct. OB, let's talk about some storylines we want to pay attention to at the spring game. We had 3 things we want to see, but I would like certain storylines inside of that thing. In mine, it's kind of an extension of what I said earlier. I really want to pay attention to the new players, but I'm going to name 2 in particular. Cassius Howell, Nick Scorton. Those are 2 names that I really want to pay attention to because they came in with some pretty good props. They're also on that CBS Top 100. The only Aggie is, there's one other Aggie, Shamar Turner's on that list. But the highest one ranked was Cassius Howell. I'm excited to see what he can do. I just want to watch him. I want to see him.
I'm kind of hoping they can't do anything.
I want to see them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want to see them not have success.
So you want to see the offensive line do well.
It's like, what did Mike Elko say about having the worst seats? He said, because when you're the coach, there's never anything good because you look at, How
about a little 50-50?
Yeah.
Half the plays really good, rushing from the defense, and half the time the offensive line pushing them back. A good back and forth.
Because I think the key to this year's success will be the offensive line.
I can't disagree with you, yeah.
So I want to see them look good.
I want to see the secondary. Okay, there's some new again.
I want to see them turn for the ball.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that.
I hope.
I think we'll see that. Marcus Radcliffe, Will Lee, I want to see those guys. I want to see B.J. Mays, Donovan Sanders, Bravion Rogers, the return, right?
Dalton Brooks.
Absolutely. Tyreek Chappelle,
Javon Thomas. Yeah, all of them.
I want to see it.
We want dogs.
And I'm not just naming guys on the roster.
It's a kennel.
These are areas of concern, at least the secondary has been a huge area of concern, especially the cornerbacks. I just want to see them.
I want to see I'm going to be curious about the linebacker play opposite Torian York.
Scooby?
Because Scooby. I want to see what Scooby can do. What will Scooby do? I want to see them because the best player on the team last year is gone, and that other linebacker opposite Torian York is going to be filling in for, replacing Edgerrin Cooper. So I want to see what you got to replace him.
Jordan Lockhart, some names to consider. Yeah, 100%. I don't want to see too much of this, but I want to see just enough. Colin Klein's offense, right? I just want to see enough of because let's not forget, 2 years in a row, spring game, we left thinking the offense, you know what I'm saying? Remember how we felt?
I think what they're probably going to do is give you kind of a taste of what
just a little salt.
But they're not going to show much because you know who else watches?
The other coaches, the other teams. No, I don't want to see too, but I do want to see efficiency. I want to see, you know what I'm saying? Is it easy to get the play in and out? Are they moving? Is there at least some deep throw?
Some motion and.
Was it 2 years ago that we had the 40-mile-per-hour winds that didn't matter who the quarterback was? And I believed that was the problem with the offense. And by the way, it was a problem. But obviously there were bigger problems than that wind.
Well, I remember one spring game they threw deep, I'm talking about 30 yards or further, 12 times. And thinking, okay. And they even talked about, we're going to be more deep oriented and we're going to do all this. And then they weren't.
It's a different team. It is a different team. A lot of the same faces, completely different regime.
Yes.
Different person moving the chess pieces.
That, to me, that's the thing that's the most intriguing is just, again, what glimpses are we going to see is just of what's different. You know, they're right. You run the same plays pretty much, but how do you run them?
We are way off, apparently, on baseball times. Second game starts 45 minutes after the 11 a.m. game.
Oh.
So 11 a.m.
But
game.
is it on ESPN?
That's on ESPNU. I'm correct, right?
Oh
my gosh, we can't do radio like this anymore, guys.
No, you keep. Look, I'm over here and I'm waiting to find the right time to cut in and tell y'all it's 45 minutes after.
You should have just cut in. Say,
Nuño, you don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's the second game starts 45 minutes after the first one.
Okay, cool. All right, as we were saying.
Hold on, I'm going to cut in one more time. SEC Network Plus.
Okay, SEC Network. There you go.
Both of them still.
So they're both.
Yes.
So I'm not.
Yes.
So you're not going to watch.
Well, I'll have to go to some place where I can get it.
Somewhere you can be angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they have it, I don't know if they do.
We can ask.
Yes, we can.
All right. So everything we said earlier, strike from the record. Apparently, both games are on SEC Plus. I'm looking at A&M's baseball feed. Tonight's game in Tuscaloosa will be broadcast, but it was talking about whenever they pushed it back. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Anywho, where were we? The new chess pieces. Yes. I mean, new man moving the chess pieces. You already said it, but I have it on my list to talk about. I do want to see offensive line cohesion. As much as you can see in a spring game, as much as you can, some of the some of the people in different positions.
I will be interested. I want to see where Jace Basantes is lining up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see where this guy from Kansas, Amaj Reed,
Yep.
I want to see what he does. You know, who's going to be at that right tackle position?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be Fothery?
I think it'll start off.
Is it going to be Crownover?
Well, I guess it depends on which team, right? Because the way that
are they both on are they on different teams?
Let me look because they
are they on the same team? I would think they'd be on different teams. And who's going to play better?
Offensive line. One offensive line for the Maroon team: Trey Zune, Demetrius Crownover, Chase Basantes, Ashton Funk, Mark Naboo, Colin Strittmatter, William Huntsinger, Chance Jackson, Cam Dewberry. Okay, that's one offensive line group.
Okay,
pretty good group.
What's the
The other one, Deuce Fothery.
Okay.
Armaj Reed Adams.
Okay.
TJ Shanahan.
I'd like to see what TJ Shanahan's about.
Hunter Erb. Ty Blanco. Aggie. Colton Thomason. Samuel Thornton. Bryce Barnes.
I want to see how they perform.
Yeah. I do too. And I want to see if they move around.
Yeah, that's true too.
I'd like to see that. The other thing that I really want to pay attention to is the tight ends. Now, Donovan Green has not been a full go at these practices. He's got the
still recovering.
Yeah, he's still recovering. But we have some other names, new guys. The Purdue kid, Garrett Miller, and you have Trey Miller from Fresno State. Those are guys I want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And Billy talked about Theo yesterday. Yeah, exactly. Looking really good.
Maybe spring. This is his year to emerge.
I'm trying to see where they have tight ends. So Theo. Here's Theo's group. Okay, so on the Maroon team, Theo, Jerry Johnson, Luke Braden, Dalton Rapp, Trey Watson, Garrett Miller. They're all on one team. The other group of tight ends, Jaden Platt, which is a name we haven't mentioned
Good
recently
one.
yet.
He's a good one.
Nathan Figueroa, Zach Clay, and Donovan Green.
Is Donovan Green actually going to get out there and play?
I don't know.
See,
I wouldn't expect it because he hasn't been a full go of practice, but maybe.
And we talked about this earlier this week. I want to see what Connor Wigman can do. How mobile is he?
Yeah. And how mobile do they allow him to be? Right.
But I just the way he moves. I want to see, does he look like a guy that you're going to be confident? Okay, he doesn't have that far to go to be ready to go. That kind of thing.
The John Dutton, sends in a text. He goes, Johnny was Scooby for Halloween, his Heisman year. Now we have another Scooby. Let's go.
We got. You can't have too many Scoobies.
I think you can have too many.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I think you can have too many. I think we just need one per generation. We disagree?
I think we've already had two. I don't think a generation.
This current A&M crop of players.
Oh, okay, because in a generation considered like 40 years or something like that.
Sure, but I'm talking football generation.
Oh, okay, football generation.
Because LeBron...
you know what I care about? I want to see how many tackles Scooby can generate.
Nice play, my friend. Let's hit a break. Shall we do that?
Let's do that.
We'll do Around Aggieland when we come back. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They are on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They got great deals on the website that change month to month. If you've purchased a vehicle there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet, you know how easy of an experience it is and how good the people are. I did it. Billy's done it. Several people have done it. It's a great place to go. And I think you'll be very happy when you go there. R.C. Slocum's bought his vehicles there. Dante Hall has. And that's not the reason that they're proud sponsors of Aggie Athletics, but it is part of the feeling there when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They got great vehicles and great pricing and a great trade-in value for you when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You know you're going to get the best customer service out there with complimentary pickup and service for your vehicles out there, and delivery, I should say. It's about a 15-minute drive, Bryan to Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Hey, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner Schiller's Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. It's time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normandystatebank.com. And it's time for K. Naegeli. Hey, you used to be my favorite Naegeli of the Naegeli family. But my dear friend, Steve Naegeli, came by the house yesterday. Mm-hmm. And remember that shed that I was having issues with?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Steve Naegeli figured that out in 12 minutes. All right? 8 hours between my buddy, who's an engineer and awesome, and I combined between a Saturday and a Sunday. Steve Naegeli, let me see, lifts up the roof, puts little holes in there, boom, 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 done.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Sounds like my dad.
That's East Texas right there.
Yeah. He's like, done.
Even though this East Texan couldn't have done it. But
and then my boys are like, he's so nice, Dad. And then he's like,
he is a nice guy.
And he's like, and his son is super famous.
The fish whisperer.
Yeah. Go. My boys knew exactly who that was. I was like, how do you guys know? He's like, Dad, he's got like 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So everyone in my family is cooler than me, is what I'm hearing.
Well,
yeah.
You are one of the hosts of our student podcast that is fantastic from the East Side. So I think you're very famous.
Well, I've had to live up to the expectations of my brother all my life, so I'm trying to make my way. And then my dad, again, I told you he could fix absolutely anything, and
he did. So unfortunately for him, he's getting the phone call all the time.
He's the handyman of College Station.
He's a man's man.
And then I made a mistake. I was going to have him over. We were going to get UFC 300. I was like, but I don't think he's into fighting, because I had asked once about UFC. He's like, no, I like to watch the highlights. I just don't get the. All right, next UFC fight. This is supposed to be around Aggieland, but it's about your dad. So thank you to Steve Naegeli, my new BFF.
Yeah, good dude.
You know what? If you take vacation, which sometime you will, maybe Steve Naegeli hosts that.
Great idea.
Great guy. Thank you, Steve.
That'll be July 5th through the 9th.
Okay. He'll note it down. I'm going to get to some of this real fast. Spring game, just want to mention that it is at noon now with the weather. And then also to make sure y'all have the right times on those.
Yeah, please. I ruined that.
Riding a 5-game winning streak, #1 Texas A&M will hit the road for a top 15 matchup at Alabama. They will begin today at 11 a.m. and the game after, so game 2 will be 45 minutes after the conclusion of game 1. So we got back-to-back baseball today, and we can get some more on the other side if you want.
Thank you so much, KK. Appreciate you. All right, that's going to do it for the Go Hour. OB, enjoy your weekend. Find a place to watch Aggie baseball, right?
I'm going to be going down, like I said, to Ammonsville, I think it's called, near LaGrange, to talk to the, I guess, LaGrange Aggie Club for be their speaker for muster.
Yep. Awesome stuff, man. Enjoy that. I know you'll have a good time. Coming back on TexAgs Radio, the Baseball Bunch, next on TexAgs. All right, welcome back into TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for the baseball bunch. Friends, how are you? Scott Clendenin, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing today?
Banana Man?
Savannah Banana Man.
Why was this sitting under the desk?
We recounted the story of you getting...
Oh, yeah. Thanks for doing that, by the way. It reminds me I have a workman's comp issue I need to take up with the ownership. And it won't be long. I'm looking forward to owning TexAgs.
Okay. And Richard Zane, how do you want to
And then once I do that, we'll discuss your
I'm not involved.
job responsibility and your standing with our company.
I'm not involved
I'm very
in this
comfortable
at all.
with where I'm at.
I'm not involved in this at all. I just think that's a pipe dream. There's no chance he's ever going to win any of those lawsuits or ever have an ownership stake in this company.
When you willingly enter the batter's box,
by the way,
injuries can happen.
Well, listen, when the owner of this company throws this thing at you as hard as he can from less than 15 feet away and balls it up tightly.
Balls?
Yes.
Look,
I did not mince my words.
6,000 people have seen him throw, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he's much better. They should let him throw a banana because he can throw that hard. Still can't throw it accurately. Anyway, Richard, by the way, you don't think
can you
I
stop
can...
doing that, please?
Why?
It's just...
We're on TV.
It's distracting.
Richard, listen. You saying that I've got no chance to win any kind of lawsuit is a slap in the face of my wife, and I will slap you with this banana.
No, you know I'm a big fan of hers.
And then you'll be co-owners. So
Huge
you
fan of
don't
hers.
do that.
By the way, programming...
She settled.
Programming update. The show will end today at 10:45 because of that Aggie baseball game. And Scott, since we're gonna start with you because I think you'll class up the joint. Aggies have won 13 out of the last 14 games. Best start since 2015, 33-4. 11-4 in the SEC. I'm going to let you take it from there.
Excited. I mean, I know y'all have talked all week about being number one. The legacy of this program and having the top-ranked team is high. I talked about it Wednesday with Chip about I liked it generationally. It captures the students on campus and the community again, and they embrace it. It happened in 89 and 93 and 98 and 99 and, 11, 15, 16. It comes around again, and we see the crowds, we see the interaction, we see the level of play that you get on the field. You see them build off of what the fans give them, and that's exciting. Whether you get to the promised land, whether you win a national championship, whether you're one of the final two, all of those things have a long way to go from the midpoint of the season. But to capture, and show why A&M, when baseball is number one in the country, and what that does for this community and what it does for college baseball is exciting. And I think that then you go to Alabama, which amazingly enough is 2015 where the winning streak ended.
Mm-hmm.
That's
but in
just,
Hoover, not in Tuscaloosa.
because of the reconstruction in Tuscaloosa on a wet night that I remember watching one camera sitting there, behind home plate going, man, this is not going well. And it's the worst game I've watched all year aesthetically. So excited about it.
There's a big difference between this group and 2024 in terms of fan interaction. Excuse me. There's a big difference between this group and 2022. Because if you'll remember, 2022, this was about the point in the year where they started to figure things out. And I think people around town and the student body started going, man, this baseball team's they're pretty good. They're fun to watch. And they kept playing. They kept winning series. And the crowds kept growing and growing to the point where when you got to that regional, I think everybody was fully bought in. Obviously, you lock up the SEC West and secure a top 10. I think they were the number 5 overall seed in 2022. And by that point in the season, everybody's like, man, this team is fun to watch. And watch how they grind out at bats and they had their own style and the Pringles. And they really started to endear themselves a little bit later in the season to the fan base. This team, I think people started walking around early in the year going, they're good.
Right.
They're really good. And so that captured the excitement and the intrigue around town and around the university and with the students because they were going to come watch some future big leaguers play. And within that, you got them early, you've also found out about the personality of this team. And Hayden Schott being a ringleader for that, but really all the guys and their interactions, Braden's interactions with the fans in right field. And it's cool. Like this has been one of the cooler regular seasons I can remember covering A&M baseball.
And it's been a lot of fun to go to the ballpark, too, to that point. Going back to 2022, got the average attendance here, 5,873. That includes the regional, the super regional. It does not include the unticketed fans and Aggie Alley and people like that. Through 25 games, so not including Tuesday night, A&M was closing in on 6,000 average attendance. So they've already surpassed what they've done in 2022, and they still have a series against the former number one team in Arkansas, and they've got potentially 2 postseason weekends to go.
And you've got Georgia coming in next weekend, where you could be looking at essentially the SEC Home Run Derby championship firing off right there in front of you. I know Jack Caglione will have something to say about that at Florida, but
and 1-1 with Charlie Condon.
And Charlie, that's what I'm saying. Charlie Condon against
beyond that,
Ray Montgomery and Jace Lavalette. Like there's some excitement and some intrigue. They're a top 25 team.
Could be a fight for the Golden Spikes Award right here on Bluebell Park.
That's right.
So I'm going to read you a lot of information here, and then I want you guys to respond. Alabama home versus away. The Joes, where they play, they're 18-5 this season in Tuscaloosa. For comparison, Alabama is 6-8 on the road. Dating back to May 4th through 6th, they've won every series, 8 straight series. I say that to you, then we look at their last 10 games. They're just 3-7. I know they just beat Arkansas, the number one team in the country, last week, but they are a different team at home, but they have had some struggles. Richard, you want to start us off?
Why do they call it the Joe?
I don't know.
I was wondering the same thing.
Sewell Thomas Stadium.
Cup of Joe.
Starting us off, I mean, it's the SEC. It's going on the road in the SEC. It's always a tough place to play when you're away from your ballpark. I don't know the dynamics behind all that because I haven't been a Division I athlete. I haven't traveled with this team, but it seems like this team knows how to handle their business, whether they're at home or away. And I think that can, that can neutralize whatever home field advantage Alabama perceives that they have. And we've seen them do that already on the road multiple times this year. So, Brauninger likes to say that you have to hold serve on the road, winning one game, not getting swept is the goal. I don't think that's the goal for them anymore, and I'd be interested to see if those expectations have changed for him since what they did at Columbia and what they did last weekend at Bluebell Park.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know that those expectations have changed. And I'm sitting there going, there's some pluses and minuses in my book for them playing a doubleheader today and getting rained out last night. And the plus side is you're going to start a game at 11 o'clock local, and I would think that would neutralize a lot of the crowd being able to drive in from the surrounding areas, a lot of the students if they've got classes on Fridays. So I don't know what you're going to be dealing with in terms of crowd to start the day. But on the flip side of that, it's hard to beat a good team twice in one day. It really is. So, I'm going into today, and you're almost looking at I'll be leaning toward a split. That's just looking at the game of baseball. Alabama can pitch. They do have some guys at the front of their lineup that kind of scare you, more so than I think even Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's lineup might go a little bit longer, but I do think that Bama's top 4, and TJ McCants started off like a house on fire, and he's really kind of cooled off, but he's sitting in there at the 6-7 hole and can hurt you. But you look at Gage Miller, he's having an all-SEC first-team type of year. And they've got some seasoned guys at the bottom. I mentioned TJ McCants. Bryce Eblin's a guy that's been around, that's going to start at second base and hitting the 9-hole. So this Bama team, to me, they're no different than Mississippi State. They're no different, and I know Auburn has had – they've just been brutally down on their luck. Auburn has throughout the first half of SEC play. But it's going to be that kind of series where if you don't play well, you are going to lose. No questions asked.
Right. I watched Florida versus Vandy last night, and it was like, who are these guys at Vandy when they got to play at their home park? It's a significant difference for all those teams. Vandy that played at Bluebell looked nothing like the Vanderbilt I saw last night. It's just one of those things. These teams, they're at home. They get their crowd, whether it's full or not. They're going to be excited about the chance to back-to-back weekends play the number one team in the country. You know, they're coming off of that. They have it in their memory, short-term memory. Number one team came to our place and we won the series. So can they back that up? Well, that's the challenge because A&M is significantly better hitting the ball than Arkansas is at this point in time in the season. You know, and I think that if you get them down like they have gotten down in their losses, mainly on the road, you have a chance to win this series. Also, 2 games in one day, what does that do to your catcher? You know, that's a big change. Now, there may come another point in time, some future point in this season where you have to play 2 games in one day. This is going to help A&M on down the road to see how their guys react to 2 games in one day, especially being 2 9s and not 2 7s. And I think that, you know, if this team gets on them early in game 1, it also leads to the point where then they can start doubting themselves in game 2, where they have to go in for half an hour, 45 minutes, and try to right the ship a little bit. And does that play with the psyche of whoever loses this game?
That's a good point Scotty brought up about the catching and how because of how important Jackson Appel has been. You are playing 2 9-inning games today, and you do not have a break till 6 o'clock. Like, you're playing 45 minutes after game 1. That's going to end up being 18 innings in like 4 hours, 5 hours. It's a lot of baseball for a guy to be back there. I think you probably start Jackson Appel both games and hope that you get in a situation where you don't have to catch him the entire length of those 18 innings. It's a good point, Scotty.
Another thing Scott said is they really haven't faced any on-field adversity yet this year. So having some games moved, having to play 18 hours and 18 innings, in one day is going to be good for them. It's going to be a good test. It's going to see we've seen their mental makeup get tested a few times and comeback victories and stuff like that. But, it's another test to see what they're made of.
And it's a test on the road.
Yep.
Very different than you sitting around your home ballpark.
In your clubhouse.
Your clubhouse with your family. You're going to go talk to your family. If you need to run home for an extended period of time during the day, you can. Like, it's a different – like, you're there. You're probably stuck. Once you go to the ballpark – once they got to the ballpark last night, if they would have announced a postponement until like 8:30, they'd have been sitting at the ballpark by themselves in the dugout.
Right.
And that's what you've got on the road. It's just you've got you and your teammates. So it's another chance for us to collect data on this team. And we've really liked every piece of information we've gotten back so far. But I do think, like I've said it a number of times, there's adversity coming. I don't know what it looks like unless this team's an extreme outlier, which, Scotty, it could be.
Yes.
This could be an extreme outlier team. But he's watched baseball long enough. I've coached and played it long enough and watched it to know that, like, nobody goes through this thing where it's just free and easy. There's something coming.
What about the use of pitchers today? Like, how does a doubleheader affect that? If a game gets out of hand, if a game gets, completely in control, just talk a little bit about the usage on the same day.
Ideally you want it out of hand. So
because what happens with Oschenbeck? Is this now because it's only 2 days instead of being 3? And, because he's going to pitch him to win games. We already know that. Whatever point in time it is, if my save needs to start in the 7th inning, that's when it's going to start. And which game is that? The good thing is
it's the one that they feel like they can win.
Yes.
That's exactly what that is.
Yes. And I think that but it's like I've said, since I saw that graphic where A&M was 10-0 and it became 11-0 at the time in games that Oschenbeck had pitched, it's like they're 15-3 in the other ones. I'm not going to complain about the rest of the bullpen. These guys have stepped up. When they have known that Oschenbeck wasn't available, guys have stepped up into those roles and done a good job. And the emergence of Cortez, who I think I called as my player of the week last week, I think that's in a great spot for him now to absorb some of those innings.
Yeah, and we have got to, not just us, but and I think the guys sitting on this table understand, but the fan base is going to start clamoring for Cortez to be a starter. And how many times Jim Schlossnagle doesn't come on these radio shows in immense words. Mm-hmm. He's very direct with you. He says, we love where he's at right now. And there is something that those coaches know because they're around those kids day to day. They know how their brain fires. They know how their nervous system works, right? So I could say, David Nuño, you're going to host a show next Friday morning if you weren't the regular host. Richard, you're going to host a show next Friday morning. Well, Richard, because of the way he's wired, may not like that. He may get like anxious and anticipatory.
He's more of an afternoon host.
But it just, when you know about it ahead of time, you start mulling over it and it starts eating at you. The anxiousness will eat at you between now and then. Whereas if you come in on Friday morning, hey, Richard, David's out, you got to host, and he just goes and hosts, he doesn't have time to think about it.
Right. I'd be okay with it too, by the way. I think I can handle it.
Both situations?
Yeah, both situations.
Right, I got to go in a little bit.
There's a direct correlation between what Kyle Tebow did for A&M baseball and what Cortez is building towards. And they could have used Tebow as a starter. And when it came to Louisiana Lafayette and the what-if game in a regional play, he punches out 16 as a starter. There was never any doubt that Kyle Tebow could go out and do that. But his role was, you're in the bullpen for 3 times a week, okay? How many times can we use Kyle Tebow in a high-leverage situation? And then when it came to, he was the freshest guy on that regional team. They handed to him. He punched out 16. They advanced to super regionals. This is not in a vacuum. This has happened before. These coaches have been around these players that they say, yes, you can be a starter at any point in time. For this team, you need to be a bullpen guy.
And also, the head coach has won 900 games. He's been to Omaha 6 times. I think he's got a pretty good pulse of what his players need and how they perform the best.
And just to circle back, because you started talking about Aschenbeck, last 2 weekends, he's pitched on back-to-back days. He's been effective in all 4 games. A&M has won all 4 games. If he has to be used in the first one today, do not be worried. I expect him to pitch on Saturday as well, as long as he's under 30 pitches.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that the message boards have gone to is like, if they tried Evan out in a 7-1 game, or what was it when he came in 15-0 or 8-0 or whatever it was when he came in last Saturday, they were like in freak-out mode.
Yeah.
Why are they using him? He won't be available tomorrow. I'm like, you think this kid throws 30 pitches one night and he's shut down for 7 days? Like, he has got a history of doing this. Like, why all of a sudden are we super worried about pitch counts? Trust the guys in the dugout. What have they done? What has this coaching staff, especially now that Max Weiner's taken over the pitching staff, what have they done to cause you to not trust their decision-making so far?
He's pitched in multiple games in 4 straight weekends and back-to-back days in his last 2. Yeah, I expect him to pitch both today and tomorrow at some point.
And being their All-American reliever and one of the most valuable assets on this team, they know exactly what they have to do to not lose that asset.
Yes.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more with the baseball bunch. I do want to talk about some starting pitching here. Milliken Reserve Time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature, and they've done that by dedicating their time and conservation to a healthy community. They have respect for that native landscape. They love wildlife out there, and when you go there, you'll see all the native species that you can think about, the white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles. And homeowners there at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to the pristine countryside place. What's up? Also, you can check out the website, millikenreserve.com. They've got great neighborhoods, the Creek, homes on a 10-plus acre wooded estates. You've got the Hollow, homes in a private gated community. You've got the Meadows, homes responsive to their natural surroundings. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. Again, millikenreserve.com. Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Baseball bunch guys here breaking things down. I'm going to talk a little Aggie pitching, starting pitching, I should say. The trio of Ryan Brauninger, Tanner Jones, Justin Lampkin have gone 12-2 on the year with a 3.18 ERA and 157 strikeouts. There's always been, coming into the season, the big question was pitching. And we have a texter who asked the biggest difference between Nate Yeskie and Max Weiner. If there's something that pops up, he asks, is it mechanics? Is it mental? What is something that pops up to you guys?
Well,
strikes.
Yes. So stats are for people that don't go to the games. That's an old a quote from an old coach I had, because if you go to the game, you kind of get the story with your eyes. But the stats are telling in terms of throwing strikes, and that is the biggest difference. I think they struck out guys last year, maybe not at this rate, but they struck a lot of guys out. But what they also did was put a lot of people on first base. So you mentioned the 157 strikeouts between those three. I think the bigger number is the walks. That's the most important number. And there's not one simple way to say, like, the dominate the zone mentality is the most simple way. Throw the ball over the plate. That's the most simple way to talk about what they've done. But every pitching coach will say that, hey, we need to throw strikes. So it's been Max Weiner's ability to communicate that, get the buy-in, get the trust and the belief, and then give each of those pitchers an individual plan for how they dominate the zone the best. And it's different from Evan Aschenbeck to Chris Cortez to Josh Stewart to Ryan Brauninger. They're all different, but they all have a plan that, based on their repertoire and their arsenal, helps them dominate the zone as consistent as possible. So it's a macro level thing and also a micro level thing.
And they also know in the first couple, 3 innings, there's a great chance they're going to walk out there with the lead and that they're going to be able to pitch from ahead. And I think that teams that run, that takes them out. You got a couple left-handers here that control the strike zone. Tanner Jones, they brought back slowly. Ooh, how about him going back to Alabama this week? You know, not something that's shown a whole lot of focus. I mean, this is a guy that wasn't recruited by Alabama coming out of high school.
He sure was out of the portal, though.
Exactly. But I just think it's you know, this starting pitching has gone out there, and you know, they've given them a chance to win game after game after game, and that even when you trailed South Carolina, you know, and handed to the bullpen, it wasn't twice that. It wasn't like South Carolina in Game 3 had even scored more runs. So even when they're, you know, one of those 2 of the 8 where they're not their best stuff that Coach talks about, they still have plenty of chance to keep them in a ball game and let their offense, if it doesn't have a lead, come back in a game. And I think that's what this pitching staff has shown, is the combination of days when the offense is good and the pitching staff is not as good as they can be, you have a chance to win those games. When it's the other way around, that's why A&M has some games where it's been the pitching staff that's kept it close. That's the synergy of this team has shown that pitching, hitting, and defense all contribute at one point in time.
And the reason I think that so many of the games the last 2 years have ended up being slugfest or high scoring or lasting 4 hours is because of the free pass, and they've been able to minimize that, and each guy has been able to minimize that. If you look at the 2 guys that were in this starting rotation, Brauninger and Lampkin, that also worked with the previous pitching coach, both of them have cut their walks in half, if not even better. I mean, Ryan Brauninger as a freshman walked 25 throughout the entire year. So far this year, he's walked 5. That's insane.
He's probably got more innings on him now than he did in 22.
Absolutely. And if you go look at the full stats and you go look at where A&M is in the SEC as far as walks allowed, they rank second, just 1 behind Tennessee for the top spot. And then go look at where LSU's at.
Well, I also think that last year was a big change as far as how the SEC called balls and strikes. And we saw Detmer always have control of the strike zone. Even when things weren't going well, his walk numbers were low. And last year, there were games where he walked 8 or 9 guys. In the previous year, he walked maybe 19, 20. So it was an adjustment year. I thought we saw in the fall how they were approaching, practicing with the strike zone, having it up on the board all the time so hitters could see, pitchers could see where their pitches were as far as how the umpires are going to be graded. And then you don't know how the SEC is going to be. Like, is it on the black? Is it 1 ball off or 2 balls off? All of those kind of things. This team prepared for that. The change in time to get in there. Maybe it affected pitching as much as it affected hitting, that they, when they had to be ready to throw a pitch. All of those things are year 2 into the adjustment. And then you mix in what, Max has done, and it has been a great, first half of this season, and I don't think it's changing at any point in time this year.
A perfect example of what we're talking about is the Game 3 against Vanderbilt, where Justin Lampkin didn't have his best stuff, and all of a sudden you're down 4-0, and it looks like it get away from you, and you hand the ball to Chris Cortez, and all he does is start throwing up zeros. And you just keep throwing up zeros, and you wait for this offense, because even on down days, because of A, they slug, and B, they'll take walks, they can get a crooked number pretty quick. And what crooked numbers do is they're difference makers in games. Single runs aren't that much difference makers. Crooked number innings are difference makers. So you're either making up ground or extending a lead, right? And you're doing it in one swing of the bat. And then with this A&M offense, they're so good. We've seen them get multiple extra base hits in a frame that takes 2 to 3 to 4, and then that's what happened again, to Vanderbilt in the second and third game. Like, Vanderbilt just all of a sudden couldn't slow it down, and A&M pops a 6 spot. And like, when you score 6 in an inning, you're probably going to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people early on in the year that were really upset with the strikeout numbers by this group. They're still striking out, but nobody's saying a thing about the strikeouts. Why?
The ball's flying out of the ballpark.
Because it's about run outputs, and that's it. It doesn't matter how you get 5, 7, 8, 15 runs. Like, the run outputs have been really good. They're scoring runs. So, we know that the way to score runs in modern baseball with these juice balls, right, and guys that are throwing really hard, they're going to make you swing and miss more. But also, when you square it with these juice balls, even when they're throwing hard, when you've got big, strong, powerful players, you hit extra base hits and homers. That's where runs come from now.
And crooked number innings means those guys that have just had success you might see them in the next inning. You probably haven't. If you score 3 runs, you've got 6 or 7 guys that have come to the plate in that inning. And then lo and behold, here I am in the next inning. I just couldn't get these guys out. So they're not getting the second and third time through the lineup in the 6th and 7th inning. They're getting the 4th and the 5th. And coaches in this league are like, we got to go to the bullpen. We're not going to let A&M see us another time. And that's a kind of a hidden value of crooked number innings. And then also the get back inning has been tremendous. Saw that at Auburn. Every time Auburn put up a crooked number, a 3 spot, A&M answered. One of the few times they didn't is because they didn't bat in the bottom of the 9th inning of game 2.
I want to clarify something. You can't have one or the other. Like, you can't just slug and strike out a bunch. It'll help. You can't just walk and strike out a bunch. You've got to have both. That's why now we understand that OPS is a massive statistic in baseball. It's your ability to get on base and your ability to slug put together. And so if one of those factors is down, either you're on base or you're slugging and you still strike out at that rate, it's going to be tough to score runs. But because this team walks and they slug, I think their team OPS is over 1,000 still.
Yes.
And on Tuesday night against Air Force, David, they scored 15 runs and they left 12 men on base.
In 7 innings.
In 7 innings. Like, they've just got a really good, and I think, like, what has made this offense more potent? The uptick from Ali Camarillo as he's ironed some stuff out mechanically. Hayden Schott ironing some stuff out mechanically. Caden Sorrell keeps upticking, right? Seems like every time he goes out there, we're getting more and more data points that, hey, this kid's a real player. And then whoever is in the 9-hole right now, it's probably going to be Travis Chestnut to start today. He's something completely different. He plays a different game. He's got a little sock in the bat. But if he gets on base ahead of Gavin, Jace, and Braden, it's a nightmare because you got to worry about the guy at first base. You got to worry about the guy in the box. It can really split your focus and your attention. But I think it was just funny to me that I'm thinking about it this week. Like, man, it was at one point in the season we were worried about the strikeouts, and like now look at the run outputs and how many times have they scored 8+ runs in a game this year? It's been an awful lot.
You bring up OPS. A&M's season OPS is 1.015. In SEC play, it's like 975. And if you want to talk strikeouts, A&M strikes out about one more time per game than Alabama does this weekend. Do you know how many more runs per game in SEC play they're scoring against Alabama? It's like 3.5 runs.
By the way, the question earlier, which we answered and went deep into some other things, was about the difference between A&M and LSU, or the pitching coaches, obviously. Just for clarity's sakes, LSU has walked 164 batters. That is 12th in the SEC. A&M has walked 110, second in the SEC.
Before we got off on the tangent about offenses and everything, Bronny brought up Chris Cortez, and I think Chris Cortez is the perfect example of why Max Weiner has been so successful and why his dominate the zone mentality has been so successful. We've heard Chris Cortez say multiple times over the last week that his mentality is just getting one-out saves every time, or one-inning saves every time he goes out there, and that he's trying to have fun out there. And obviously he's having fun. Bronny's said it a couple times. The how do you spell fun is W-I-N. But when you are having fun and you know that you can go out there and throw your best pitch, your best shape against whoever you're facing to the best quadrant, best part of the zone that's going to give you a chance to be successful, that's what dominating the zone is about. And the new mentality is allowing guys like Cortez to relax and be themselves and have fun out there, and it's leading to tangible success.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. I want to talk a little Jace Lavalette when we come back. That and more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Baseball Bunch. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about Jace. He's doing Jace things. Currently sits second nationally in runs scored with 56, sixth in homers with 18. Among the SEC sophomore leads the league in runs and triples, and ranks third in walks, fourth in homers, sixth in RBI, and seventh in slugging percentage.
It's crazy.
I don't think I realized he was second nationally in runs scored.
Well, duh. He gets on base.
Yeah.
But you'd read some of these message board posts.
But he's slumping. He's slumping.
He's popping up too much.
You have to say every week he's going to click this weekend because of the reaction around the program from reading the message boards all the time.
Last week, David asked me, is Jace due? It's like, he's always due. Every time he steps in the batter's box, it doesn't matter that he hit 2 home runs on Tuesday night. He's still due.
Yeah, it's crazy that people are so hypercritical of a kid that is legitimately – I mean, Scotty, you're the Aggie baseball historian. I always defer this stuff to you. If Jace's career ended after this year and he didn't have next year, where would he rank among all-time power hitters at Texas A&M?
Easily in top 5. I mean, and I can look at – it's like Braden Montgomery right now is on pace to be the best one-year player I've ever seen at A&M. Okay? I'm talking about All-Americans, Major League Baseball players, the best one-year season. Okay? Then I can go to your point, a 2-year season. Look at some of those guys. Jace is right there with that. Corey Patton, a great 2-year player who surprisingly came back for a senior year after being a junior college guy. Great year, great 2-year player. So I can look at those and compartmentalize them, and these guys are at the top of all those lists. Best freshman last year. Okay, that's great. Grahovic's pushing his way into being in that conversation as one of the top 4 or 5 freshmen of all time. And I know that Sandhop did a story about each thing, and hard to compare the years and everything like that. And it's fun, and people from different generations are going to argue about that kind of stuff. But that's why I like to look at, a 5-person situation there. I think that gives you enough of the game was a little bit different, but how are these guys succeeding? And yeah, there's more home runs hit right now than there were in the early 2000s when they went to BB Core, even when they raised it with a different seam baseball. So it's fun to look at all those, but yes, they're all in those top of the list, even if they don't set the career home run record, even if they don't break an RBI record. What they're doing game after game gives you a good look at those guys and say, this is one of those guys. This is one of those guys when you look at the freshman All-American teams that A&M has had, the All-American teams, the All-League teams, because people forget. The Southwest Conference was as good a baseball conference as anybody in the country. The Big 12 before A&M left, as good a baseball conference as anybody in the country. SEC, the best baseball conference. So they've been doing that, and this historical context is in leagues which are great at baseball and all those different generations, but you look at them and you say, this is a generational player. Because the greatest thing about college baseball of all right now is these guys are in college and not in the bus leagues.
Right.
And what the coaches say about this being a golden era for college baseball is because it's not stopping after these 2 seasons. It's continuing with less draft picks, NIL, Major League Baseball reducing the number of minor league teams. All of that leads to this product being the best it's ever been, and that's what's exciting for college baseball fans.
Jace Lavalette has 39 career home runs, 1 more, and he will be the 7th member of A&M's 40 career home run club. Only 2 guys above him did not play 4 years. Jace has only played 101 games at A&M so far. That's insane.
Yeah.
He is he's in the top 3 all-time greatest power hitters at A&M, if not 1, when everything's all said and done.
Right now, it's Dalen Holt is 1.
Yes.
Right, and Jace will have to unseat Dalen Holt. But through 100 games, how many games, Richard?
101 games.
So 100
so
games. Far. I'd put him at 2. I'd put him as the 2nd best power hitter in this program's history.
Names like Holt, Livingstone, Byington, Scanlon, Colligan, and Anders are the only members with 40 home runs. Lavallette's about to be the 7th.
It's and I played against a couple of those. Kyle Colligan was a fantastic player. Luke Anders Luke Anders threatened the.
But Luke Anders was also was a pitcher his first year here. So you're looking at basically take one of those years off of his career when he wasn't a hitter.
Okay, so he played 3 years as a hitter.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And the those bats, those late 2000s bats that was my era. They were hot. I mean, the exit velocities on some of those, you put one of those in Jace's hands and it's dangerous. But yeah, man, and I think what it speaks to, he makes the move to center field this year. We've seen him just go gap to gap and just suck up balls that are in the gaps and are going to be extra base hits, and because of his overall natural athletic ability, and he'll be the first to tell you that there was a couple that he should have made plays on that were very difficult that a player of his caliber, he feels like he should make. But it's the move to center field. It is the ability to run bases. Like he hits, you probably haven't dove into this, David, but you're like a biomechanics guy.
Yeah.
Go watch him when he hits these triples and the camera pans to him when he's between first and second. He's about to cut the bag at second, go to third. At 6'6", 230 pounds.
Corner bag every time.
The fact of the matter is, this Aggie baseball program in all its history has not seen many athletes ever that can do what Jace Lavalette can. And he's also, it's not just potential, there's production behind it. So, yeah, I don't get when people just get this kind of like, well, we really need Jace to get going. What are you talking about?
He is going.
He's always going.
So let me ask this. How many people are in the 40 home run club, Richard?
6 right now.
6. So very soon, Jace, Gavin Grohovic, another one going to be there at some point.
Yeah, Gavin looks, I mean, how many times am I going to say it? He looks like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. Like that's what he looks like when he walks around. Plays, carries himself like a big leaguer.
Mm-hmm.
And is steadily, it's kind of unfair to him that Jace broke the freshman home run record last year. Because if he hadn't, people would be talking about Gavin. Man, this is the best. And we probably should, depending on how this thing ends up for Gavin. But, you're going to sit there talking about Gavin having the best freshman season of all time, a year after Jace had it.
Jace is going to become just the second Aggie to get to 40 home runs in 2 years. And that's with Holt's 34 home run year in 99.
Yeah, because he wasn't a full-time player as a freshman. I mean, there were times where Darren Heinrichs went out and played in the outfield for him as a defensive replacement. And then, Dalen Holt took that as a challenge. And the next year, there was no taking him off the field at any point in time of any game, not just what he did with the bat, but how he played right field. So you're right about, the numbers and everybody's right about the eras. And it's just great to see a team that's put together that carries this depth like 89 did, to where you're eight deep with guys batting 300. 99 did the same thing the year after Jason Tyner left, and was like, well, how are you going to have a leadoff hitter like him? And so you put Steven Truitt in there, and he hit 17 home runs. You didn't have to do it the same way each and every time. But this team, with the depth and the pressure it puts on your opponent, is why these guys are insulated from having a bad weekend, because the guy behind them is having a good weekend and making up for them when they don't have a great game. When you won, with 5 hits against Vandy, scoring 9 runs, that's a perfect example of this team doing what it takes and still explode for 9 runs.
At South Carolina, this all-world freshman we're talking about has 2 hits. Both of them leave the ballpark. He's 2 for 15. The Aggies win 2 out of 3 games on the road against a top 20 opponent.
Yeah, it was cool last, or what was it? Was that Vandy? When did they honor the 99 team?
Oh, no, that's South Carolina.
They honored them Friday night against Vanderbilt.
Yes, Friday night
against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
After the game, underneath in the tunnel, that 99 team, they had their kids. They were walking around showing the facilities and stuff. And Dalen Holt introduced himself to Jace Lavalette, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
And they had, exchanged some pleasantries, and obviously Dalen knows that Jace is chasing him. And I'm sure Jace has looked at the record book maybe and seen Dalen Holt's name, but I don't know that he would know what he looked like. So Dalen went up and introduced himself, and I told Jace, he looks like he could hit behind you or behind Braden still and put him right in the middle of the lineup. But I thought that was such a cool interaction, and I wish I would have been able to get a picture of him, just to hold in case Jace does, threaten this all-time career home run record.
One other note, because I want to go 1, 2, 3 in the order there. Brandon Montgomery leads the nation, 60 RBI, ranks 2nd in total bases, 126, 3rd in homers, 20, and 4th in slugging percentage.
You may have to have a conversation about chasing down an RBI record that Dalen Holt has.
Yeah, it's crazy that he's driven in that many. But it's if the guy hitting third leads the nation in RBIs, what would that tell you about the guy hitting second?
Leads the nation in runs scored.
Right, he's getting
not
on
driving in enough runs. Wait, no, never.
Yeah.
He's slumping.
Yeah, he's getting on base.
Yeah.
And Gavin Grahovic getting on base. It's crazy that when you're looking at a potential first rounder, to lead off at the top spot of the order, and then a potential first rounder at the 2-hole, that the 3-hole is still leading the country in RBIs.
Well, and that's why I thought that, that it might be a 2020 season for Jace. But you're not going to run into outs.
And that's one thing we looked at early. Yeah, we looked at that early in the years. Like, it'll be interesting to see how Schloss calls this offense, because he does like to run, but do you have to run?
You don't need to run.
And
by the way, a lot of trotting.
Scotty, again, a question for you. What's been the greatest one season for a catcher in A&M history, and is Jackson Appel threatening that?
He's getting pretty close. Scott Sandusky, transferred from Baylor, might be it. But you're talking about, you're getting on the short list of offensively, defensively, holding runners. I looked at in the conference today, 5 attempts this year against Jackson Appel in the SEC, which has the best base runners in the country. They're saying, we want no part of that. We're also trailing in these games. We're not going to give away outs when we get banged at second base. It's a great overall season. And he's showing what he did in early season games against SEC teams when Penn would go on the road, what he did in the NCAA tournament. He's doing it all the time. And that's a great transfer to go out and get.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll have one little final segment when we come back. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, about 4 minutes left here on the Baseball Bunch TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. All of us talked about at the beginning of the season having to win certain games or series on the road, right? And it's so hard to win on the road. Another opportunity to do what great teams do, take a series. I know that thinking that they can win a series today seems not outlandish, definitely not outlandish, but obviously difficult considering
more
the level
difficult
of opponent.
than a normal weekend, sure,
Right.
considering the level of opponent and the fact that you got to play 2 games today. But certainly not out of the realm of possibilities with this team. And at this point, I expect them to win a series on the road. I don't think they're satisfied with simply holding serve on the road. I think that they expect to win at least 2 and play for a sweep.
And you need to get 1 today because tomorrow the weather is going to be a factor again. And it may be a situation where you get completely rained out tomorrow, and they may be fighting rain today in Tuscaloosa. So you definitely want to find up a way to shore up 1 win and then go from there. Obviously, you'd like it for it to be game 1, so a lot of that pressure comes off your shoulders, and there's not even pressure, but you just play a little bit freer and understanding that, whatever you do. And then Jim Schlossnagle will tell you the goal is to just not get swept on the road. Anything you do outside of that is a cherry on top. It's going to be tough today. I think it's going to be really tough to win 2. Sure, they can win 1. Absolutely, they can win 2. Like, they can do it. It's just going to be tough. Let's remember that Alabama has got home series wins against Arkansas, South Carolina, and Tennessee. That's a good resume.
That's a heck of a resume.
It's a resume that the reason why they're, even as a 6-9 team, they're still have an outside shot to host a regional. I don't know if they can get in top 8 position, but then they can go to a super regional because of how good they are at home. So the other thing is I want to see in the next week, by the time we show up next week, somehow that they've got the 36 wins I predicted for this season for this team. I mean, I know we don't go back and look at those very often, but I'm sitting here wondering, where I was when I thought it was going to be 36 wins, but that was looking at winning series and not sweeping series, and they've certainly proven all the points that they can go out and be a team that might enter postseason with single-digit losses, and that's 89 and 93 area, and that's
how many wins they have last year?
Last year I thought they had 38 total. That includes a run in the SEC tournament and 2 in a regional.
They're 33 right now?
Yes.
33 and 4. I mean, they almost hosted a super last year. They got Stanford to the losers bracket in their home ballpark.
They have the same winning percentage right now that the 1989 team had over the entire year.
But not the same winning percentage they had at this point in time of the year.
Okay, Scott.
They were 40-1.
Okay.
All right, we got to hit a break here. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we've got to talk some spring football with Billy Liucci. We got to talk more baseball with Billy Liucci. We got to talk commits with Billy Liucci. We got a lot to get into that over a shortened hour because baseball starts at 11. The pregame show at 10:45 on the Zone. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I'm on the air. I'm just like doing this with my papers. As we wait for Billy Liucci to join us here on TexAgs Radio, we need to finish up with Around Aggieland, presented by Norman G. State Bank with Kay Naegeli, because we got cut off earlier. It was a shorter segment. Kay, I will say this. I am not a Taylor Swift fan. I'm not saying I'm anti-Taylor Swift. That's not what I listen to. But the other night in the car on the drive home from soccer practice from Houston, my daughters, and a bunch of their teammates were playing every song. She has a lot of jams, right? And it was a concert. And it was the cutest, cool thing. But unfortunately, this morning, I don't know what time it was, 6:30 in the morning, Annalise is blasting the new album that came out last night, which you already say has got a bunch of bangers.
It does. And I think the thing with and everyone's like, why are girls so obsessed with Taylor Swift? It's because you grow up with her and you have some sense of girlhood. Like, I remember
we grew up with Kanye, same thing.
Tim McGraw or Teardrops on My Guitar in my parents' car. It's a growing up thing, and to watch her grow up, I feel like is why so much people have so much loyalty and love for her. So yes, if I look tired, I was up till 2:41 last night listening to all 31 songs that she dropped.
Do you play the entire song?
I do, and I had the lyrics put up on the TV with two of my roommates, literally dissecting every word and breaking it down and pausing it and having be dramatic. It was a time. It was fun, but it's girlhood.
I bet you didn't know this. Jackson Moss and Matthew Dawson did that, and Kate Beckham as well. They had here at the office. They
really?
They did that. It was cool. When I walked in, I was a little surprised.
Yeah, this morning.
This morning
before the show.
Yeah, at around 7:04.
Jamming.
Yeah,
okay.
They were jamming it. So.
That's interesting.
Let's finish up our Around Aggieland.
Let's do it. Hey, you need to ask Billy his favorite song though, because he's
already heard it.
We were tweeting back and forth about it because I gave him one song recommendation, so I need him to say if he liked it or not.
All right.
So we'll get his take on that. But yeah, let's go back to some Around Aggieland stuff. As I mentioned earlier, the maroon and white game will be this Saturday. It's been long awaited, but it is finally here. It will kick off at noon due to potential inclement weather. It may be wetter. That was bad. I'm not even gonna
see what happened.
But we were really excited to get that going. And then
I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay, let's not go.
That was good.
Kanye.
That was great.
Speaking of Taylor Swift. Anyways, football recruiting news. Prosper offensive lineman Connor Carty announced his commitment to the Aggies. He chose A&M over the offers of Florida, LSU, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, and USC. So that's a heck of a get from Mike Elko and company. Baseball, riding a 5-game win streak, the number 1 ranked Fighting Texas Aggies hit the road for a top 15 matchup at number 12. Alabama was supposed to start yesterday, but it will begin today at 11 a.m. this morning. That they will play a doubleheader in Tuscaloosa, with Game 2 of the doubleheader starting approximately 45 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1. So we will have some midday baseball to watch. That'll be great. Additionally, tonight, Texas A&M softball will host its final home SEC series, which is crazy that it's already the final home SEC series of the 2024 season. This weekend at Davis Diamond, hosting Ole Miss, so hopefully beat the hell out of those Rebels. Additionally, the number 4 equestrian team cruised past number 5 Georgia in the NCEA quarterfinals on Thursday morning, and they are already off and going this morning as they face top-seeded TCU. That began at 8 a.m., so best of luck to the equestrian team. Additionally, track and field will close its home meet slate with the alumni muster, where it will honor 25 seniors on Saturday at E.B. Cushing Stadium, with the events starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So a lot of fun stuff going on this Saturday in Aggieland, so we're excited about it.
Okay, the last thing we say about your friend T Swift, we're getting some text messages.
I'm sure we are.
And the dudes are not happy.
Listen.
Dave in Houston, her new album is getting horrible reviews. People are not liking it.
Well, David in Houston, I recommend that you go listen to it for yourself and form your own opinion before you jump to conclusions. I will just say, along with the girlhood thing, Taylor Swift is someone, you're not going to have your bangers on it like you normally would. Not specifically with this album. Just listen to the lyrics, dissect it a little bit, and think about things.
Probably won't happen, okay? I'm going to be very honest with you.
I understand, but think about it of a 20-something-year-old girl going through a breakup, and
why would I think of it that way? What kind of weirdo would I be? Seriously.
She does have 2 songs about Travis Kelce, though, so maybe you can tune into those.
I don't know. I'm good.
Well, your daughters will play it in your house. Hopefully all day long, and then they'll be stuck in your head.
So. Derek on the YouTube page says he grew up on DJ Screw. What do you know about DJ Screw? Probably nothing.
I do not. I grew up on Taylor Swift, so that's why I'm saying.
I don't even know if there's any web-appropriate lyrics from or TV appropriate lyrics from DJ Screw.
Who did you grow up listening to? Like, who was your Taylor Swift, Mr. Nuño?
There were several phases, right? There was a Michael Jackson phase in the early 80s, right? There was a Bobby Brown phase in the late 80s. There was a Van Halen.
Okay.
Early 84-ish, I think. In fact, that was the album. Tribe Called Quest, which nobody knows about them here. And Kanye. But I was an adult by the time Kanye came out. Good old Kanye.
Oh, boy.
By the way, as hated as he is, still had the best Spotify run in 2024. Just
Did
saying.
he?
Yeah.
Did he?
His album
Have
with
you
the
heard his
#1.
new song?
Yeah, it's great.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Carnival?
Would you let your kids listen to it?
They do. The clean version, they do.
It's probably missing every other
It
word.
is. It's like, Carnival. Carnival. I don't know why I made it sound like an AI. Can we talk some sports now? Is that good?
Let's do it.
Now that I've run off all the dudes listening. All right. I want to, until we get Billy here, and I think our phone lines are down, so we can't call Billy. So until then, let's chit-chat a little bit about spring game. What do you want to see? I see Cole asking a question for Billy. What is he most concerned about heading out of the spring game into the fall? And a lot of good talk. Just want to hear the concerns. The concerns are, I think we've kind of addressed some of them. And some of those concerns, we're not going to be able to answer them until Notre Dame. Like, let's be honest with you. What do you think? Cade Bickham, you're listening to the show. What do you think is my biggest concern? Because I talk about it all the time. If I had a concern about next season, what would it be? It should be easy. This should be
offensive line.
100%. To me, everything is about the offensive line. It all starts with the O-line. Look, there are other areas of concern, obviously. But if you told me you're going to protect Connor Wigman all year long and you're going to open up holes for the running game, then I feel pretty good about the other areas of this team that I know. My concerns start there at #1, offensive line. That is my concern. And I feel good about where we're trending, but I'm not going to feel good till that game. That'd be the 1, and the 2 would be the secondary. And with that, Billy Liucci is in studio. So we have a YouTube question for you, Billy. Can we ask Billy what's the most he's most concerned about heading out of the spring game into the fall? If there is a concern, Billy, what would it be heading out of the spring game into the fall?
I need a new chair. Look how low
You're really
I am.
close, too.
Let me guess who sat here.
That would have been Brauninger.
There's the Big Dipper, and there's the Big Hitter.
Interesting.
With one letter missing. And I'm telling you right now, this chair stinks.
You going to throw it? You've done that before.
I just need a new one.
Mr. Dawson will bring you one.
Look at that. That's actually a better height right there. So here's the deal.
He's like 5'6", yeah.
The question was, what
is your biggest concern heading out of the spring into the fall?
I think one thing I was going to say, I don't know if I said it yesterday during the Luchador or not, but, if you look at Connor from a few weeks ago till now, there's some, like from when spring started to now and how he's moving around on that foot, I'm actually, I was thinking about it yesterday when I was watching him move around, like I'm encouraged. Like that, okay, good. Now I see why they wanted him to practice during the spring, and I think if he has one of those seasons we hope to see him have, you're going to look back and go, great decision not that they were erring on the side of caution, but to just say, well, he's not 100%, so we won't put him out there. Right. It was more of, is the foot healed? And if it is, we're going to put him out there. Thank you.
You don't like when I...
No, you don't pay attention, and then I stop talking, and then you're just like, out there.
So
thank you. Good.
Good.
Very good. I wasn't done talking, by the way. I just did that. No, I think so it's not that. A lot of people would think it's that, and I don't believe it's that for me. I'm actually on the side of encouraged by it and feeling good coming out of spring there. Where I guess my concern, Nuño, would be, again, like, offensively, I want to see top-end playmakers emerge. I think running back has been a pretty encouraging, exciting position. I think when people see, like, what Le'Veon Moss what he's done physically.
You mentioned what he looks like.
The power he's running with, and then, Ruben Owens has been explosive. Amari Daniels it seems to really have kind of flipped a switch in terms of just he's dialed in with this new offense and new coaching staff. So I want to see big plays at the receiver position Saturday. I want to see – I think it's that pass – the skill – because the running backs have to prove it week in and week out against SEC comp. But I want to see explosivity in the passing game at the skill spots. I thought Theo has had a good spring, and I like the two transfers at tight end. I want to see them make big plays in the passing game. And to me, what I'm really getting down to is that wide receiver spot. You know, Noah, Jade, Moose, Cyrus Allen, Isaiah Williams. You know, he as a true freshman, that position. And that's why, look, there's a reality is they've got multiple targets at receiver in the portal right now. And that's the same thing to me at linebacker. I want to see that position continue to develop. And, you know, they'll be bringing in a guy this weekend at linebacker. And that's what – there are reasons why they're doing that. So Damian Sanford has been a positive this spring, I think. They've got some depth there. Scooby Williams has had some days out there. So they're building it. But those are the two spots where I'm like, let's see what they do portal-wise. And then not a concern, but I'm pretty interested in just how the O-line shakes out. I'm very interested in that, you know, how things shake out up front in terms of their starting five.
Yeah. As for people visiting, when you visit, I got to assume, and again, you can't make the same assumption for everybody. Some people are taking the trip, but if they're making the trip out to College Station, it's got to be on their final 2-3 list, right? Like if they're actually going to come out here, or is it completely wide open for some of these transfers?
Yeah, it's wide open for some, and then some I think A&M's got a better shot with. Like it wouldn't shock me if they come out of this weekend with a commitment or two from the portal ranks. Mm-hmm. Now, do they announce it right away? Maybe, maybe not, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they ended up with a couple of commits out of the deal. They're going to be really aggressive. And when portal guys come in here and see what's going on over here, you saw what happened with Ricks coming from Bama. You saw what happened with Will Lee. I'm kind of picking someone at the very beginning of the portal season, somebody at the end. You saw what happened with them coming in, and they essentially were committed by the time they left. And that'll happen still. And some of those guys, I don't know if they'll necessarily know that. It'll just click for them. But some of them come in town with the plan of, a lot more portal guys than recruits come in town with the plan of, if I like what I see, I'm going.
Yeah. Another question coming in on the YouTube page. This is from Michael. How do you all feel about the running back position? You kind of touched on it a little bit. I feel like the potential to be incredibly strong for us. And the thing that I think you touched on was they're starting to look like that potential that we thought the Le'Veon could be, at least physically. Ruben Owens, obviously. Amari.
And E.J. Smith has been banged up. So that's why, you know, if you hadn't heard me mention him as much, he'd been banged up. He was back out there here recently. But, that has the potential to be explosive. But I've been saying this the whole time. If you really look around this league, both this year and you look around the conference of what's made teams great, and some of the receivers that A&M's faced on these teams that have won this league, the LSUs, the Alabamas, not that they've won the league, but teams like Ole Miss, not this year Tennessee, but the year before Tennessee, 22 Tennessee. The teams that have really, Georgia, when they finally figured it out, is when they started getting playmaking, and obviously Brock Bowers at tight end. Florida, their great year that A&M actually beat them when they had the tight end. They had Kadarius Toney and Pitts at tight end. Like, the DBs and the defenses are so good that you can't just drive down the field slowly and methodically enough times in a game to win games in this conference. you see what these playmakers do when the ball's in the air. I just don't think there's a path to win in this conference without true elite playmakers. Go look at when A&M beat Bama. What'd they do? Hell, even Damon Demas made a couple tough snags in that game, but A-Chain was the difference maker.
He was. Jalen
Weidemeyer played like he was a first-round pick, like at some point in his career people thought he had the potential to be. Isaiah Spiller had some incredible runs. Zach Calzada was a playmaker at quarterback in that game of the highest order for at least the first half when he was almost flawless. And then late, Anaya Smith was a game changer in that game. So you got to have it. And if you look around the league at what certain teams are bringing back and you look at A&M, it's just not proven. It's just not proven. We sit here and love what we've seen from Connor Wigman, but there's a lot more quarterbacks with more experience in the conference than him. So there's veteran QBs at running back. They don't return a 1,000-yard back. They don't return a back that has carried the load yet. And at tight end, your guy that was the starter tore his ACL 7-8 months ago. At wide receiver, you don't return a 1,000-yard guy. Right. You don't. Now, Ja'Day Walker closed the season, I think, with 3 straight 100-yard games. But you don't return a guy that you just look at and go, okay, that's a first. They don't have a first or second team all SEC wide out. They have the potential. They got some guys with the potential, but they don't have it. So until those questions are answered, and I don't believe those questions can be answered until A, we see what the final product looks like for the roster, and B, until we see them in against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And it's not it's receiver, it's running back, it's how healthy is your QB. And again, I feel actually outstanding about that now. And it's your tight ends. How healthy is Donovan and how much do the new guys and I even put Theo in that new guy group because he hadn't played yet, and how much impact do they have? How do they perform under the lights on Saturdays versus spring practice?
All right, let's talk a little Costa Vida right now. They're going to be at the All-American Club for the maroon and white game with chips and queso, chili lime chicken, and sweet pork nachos. So make sure if you go out there to the maroon and white game, you go get yourself some chips and queso, some chili lime chicken, and sweet pork tacos. But as you know, they are at all the baseball games here at Olson. And when you go there, you know that they have a concession stand there on the third base line, and they have chili lime chicken there. They have sweet pork burritos there. They have chili lime chicken and sweet pork baja bowls, chips and queso, key lime pie. So they have that all there. They also have their in-store option, right, which is the home run combo. You can go there, get a home run deal, right? It is awesome. It's a favorite of Jason Lavalette and, of course, number 12, Ryan Targoch, who's been part of the Costa Vida fan for 2 years, or family, I should say. The home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchiladas smothered in house-made queso, rice beans, and a large drink for $11.99. You can get that there at the third base line, right, when you go to a game at Olson Field. But if you want to go to South College Station and get your grub on in the morning, you can do that because they've got great breakfast tacos and much more in the mornings. You want to get your breakfast there. You want to get your lunch and your dinner there as well because the quesadillas are to die for. They have tortilla soup that is phenomenal. It is Aggie owned and operated. You can say hi to Holly when you go there. It's so delicious. 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. Again, that is 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It's Costa Vida. Hey, it's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy's still here with us. Billy, I was watching Feinbaum yesterday, and he had Brad Crawford on from 247 Sports, who has this article out. And it just caught my interest because there's parts of it I agreed with and parts I didn't. Love your perspective on it. Top coaches without a national championship. Okay?
Okay.
His number one guy was Brian Kelly. I think that's a great one. Is that the number one guy on your list too, probably? Based on history, resume.
Nuño.
Yep.
You can't ask me that and expect there's 30 coaches, and you just said Brian Kelly. Is that a good answer to you? I'm wait. Well, let me think for a second. Probably so, though.
Okay. How about
if Feinbaum said it? Well, I'm thinking of like the most success. It's probably Brian Kelly, or even though I don't think he's a really good coach, I think he's got overwhelming talent. Well, hell, yeah, it's probably Brian Kelly or Ryan Day.
Yeah. Well, let me read you their list. Okay, this is from 247. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Brian Kelly 1. Yeah. Mike Norvell 2. Disagree.
What?
Yeah, I disagree. He hasn't done enough.
Norvell's had one. Now he did a nice job at Memphis to get the job, but 1 year at Florida State. Get the hell out of here.
By the way, when I finished
this love affair with this guy,
Ryan Day is 3 on this list.
He would have been 2 on mine, I believe, unless you drop some others on me.
Kalen DeBoer 4.
Again,
you're gonna hate the next one.
I think Kalen DeBoer is an elite coach, but he just, I mean, I guess this list is gonna be like that. There's just a lot of guys. There's not a lot of elder statesmen that you think are better than you're gonna say Sark,
number 5, which I think is ridiculous.
Another 1 year guy.
1 year in his entire career. That doesn't mean that he may not be closer to winning a championship than some of these other guys, but he is not on that list yet. I don't think he's got the longevity as a head coach at a high level.
Done enough to impress me as a head coach. That's realistically, I was very impressed with how they went into Tuscaloosa last year and beat Bama. If I wasn't an Aggie, people would hear this. People around the SEC would hear this and go, "You're right." People in Austin will hear this and go, "Hater, sour grapes, insane." But they did beat Bama weeks before Bama figured it out and got it together. Had they played in the playoff, Bama would win that game.
Yep.
They couldn't. They really got handled by Washington. That game could have been worse than they got handled. And I know they came back and I thought they showed a hell of a lot of guts, but that also came because a guy got hurt and the clock stopped. Otherwise, Washington's running out the clock. They're winning by two touchdowns. They got handled by the Huskies. You watch that game, and reality says they got handled. They almost pulled off a miracle. Good for them. Exciting as hell. I was stressing out that finish. Thought he did a good job last year, but it was more like he did a great job against Alabama. I've said it before. In 3 years there, Steve Sarkisian has beaten, and credit, I mean this, credit Texas' NIL machine. It's 2024. That's not an insult. Credit their NIL machine. I'm glad A&M's firing it up the way they are. They need to continue to do that. It is of the utmost importance for any program in any sport at any university now. But credit Texas for that. But, man, there has not been a bigger beneficiary of NIL than Steve Sarkisian. Starting with Xavier Worthy and working all the way, through Quinn Ewers and on down. That's part of the game now. That's legal. It is how everyone does it. Everyone's playing by the same rules. Some people like A&M and Texas are playing in a different sandbox than other programs, and that I can't be happy that's going on in College Station and ridicule it in Austin. I'm not. But in 3 years, how many games has Steve Sarkisian beaten a team with 80% the talent his has, or a team that's got more talent than them?
Once.
I'm saying 75% of the talent. Let's say twice. OU that first year, but OU was bad. That 49-0 year. OU was bad that year. They were like a 6-6 team. So let's call it twice then. That's it. So anytime he's coached against a team even close to Texas on that talent spectrum, they've lost, save 2 times in 3 years. Right. And it's really one. That OU team did not, they were little bitty. I told you before the season, every scout told me it's the worst looking OU team they've ever seen, since Bob Stoops got there. And then they've lost games, several along the way, to teams that are inferior to them talent-wise. So, to me, no, I'm not putting him up there.
I'm not either.
If he does it again this year, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, it's NIL, it's NIL. Like, he would have done it in the SEC. They've got they catch some breaks with the schedule, but it would still be 2 years stacked on top of each other, and you don't take anything away.
So the next guy I think I would have in my top 3 or 4, Kyle Whittingham, number 6.
Oh, what is this question? Best coach not to win?
Yep, best coaches not to win.
If you're saying best coach, he would be number 2 on my list right there. Best coach, I would go number 1. I'd go Kelly with what he's accomplished, his resume. I think in an X's and O's matchup, I'd take other people over Kelly.
Sure.
But Brian Kelly, with what he's accomplished and how close he's come, I would go Whittingham 2. God, where he's at and what they've done at Utah, I would go 3, probably Kalen DeBoer.
Then Ryan
and
Day.
Then I'd go Ryan Day. But he, and there's a little bit to me where I put him in a little bit of that same conversation the way I talk about Sark, where I'm like, man, most times they take the field, they got noticeably better players than who they're playing. Most times. And Ryan Day walked into a machine there.
Yeah, he did.
Steve Sarkisian walked into an NIL, layup center because it wasn't happening right off the rip. So, yeah, I think those 2 are pretty similar. Is there anyone else that's...
Well, I'm going to just read you some of these names, and you can... there's one that I think I would put probably in my top 8 that's not on there, but Kirk Ferentz, number 7. Whatever.
I think if you'd have done that 10 years ago, I'd have had him on it. Now it's like...
It's been a few years of downward.
His resume screams it, but no, he's not on mine.
Lincoln Riley, 8.
I'm sure he'd be in there. I'll let the OU fans talk about Lincoln Riley. There's a lot to be desired there when you watch his football teams. There's no doubt about that.
This next one I might put higher on the list, Lane Kiffin.
That's who I was waiting for you to say. I might too.
Yeah.
I don't like his style on social media. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And you have to ask yourself, do you like it when it's not aimed at A&M?
Yeah, that's me.
Kind of, but then again, I'm still also like, I don't think I'd want my coach doing that.
100%.
It's
entertaining, though.
I really mean that. And I do it. I do it on social media, but I'm sitting here as a whatever you want to call me. There's a lot of things to call me. But
owner, media mogul.
But media, and through, there's an antagonistic side of it. There's fun to it. But I'm not a head college football coach.
Yep.
I don't think I'd want that if I were an AD, if I were a university president, if I were just me sitting here saying, would I want that for A&M? I don't think I would. But I do think he's a really damn good football coach. I think he is, and I think he's proven that.
Yes.
And unlike Sark, he's proven it at a place. And now they are also playing the NIL game now big time. Listen, man, Texas is a machine with it. It's just going to go. They were desperate, and they said, let's go. We can now legally pay. We got the money. Let's make sure we do this. Ole Miss, I'll actually give Kiffin some credit because he has gone kicking and screaming to get them to become, transfer to the SIP and do all that. And he is playing his role in it. He has created a brand and identity around it. So a lot of that, I think, has to do with him in terms of firing up that fan base and those donors to get done what needs to get done. So, yeah, he would be higher up on my list than they have him.
We're late for a break. So let me just say these real quick. Dan Lanning, then Mike Gundy, then James Franklin. I think James Franklin, for me, would be higher on the list.
Me too.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm biased because
you met him.
I like him.
No, but
I liked him. But he's good.
He wins 10 games all the time.
He won 9 games at Vandy.
Yeah.
He's a really good coach. Penn State's still a tougher job, I think. It's certainly a tougher job to win at post, in the Paterno was modern era. Post Paterno, that's a tougher job to win at by far than Ohio State and Michigan, and that's who they're kind of measured against every year.
Hey, I want to talk about something that I think you've been to, Hush and Whisper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a hidden gem, but won't be hidden for much longer.
No, it's still newish, but it is awesome. They're an innovative distillery cocktail lounge and founded to defy convention and distill true grain to glass spirits. It's really awesome at the Verisco building there in downtown Bryan, which I told you guys a couple of days ago. My media career started in that building for Power 94, the only station that gives a jam. Well, now it's the whiskey capital of this great area. Hush and Whisper spirits are milled and fermented, distilled, and bottled in Bryan, Texas. You've got your white whiskey, 70% corn, 16% wheat. You've got your 14% malted barley, the original vodka, the original gin, and they're sourcing only the finest ingredients and committed to the highest quality out there. You should go book a tour right now. Reserve a tour for tasting, or just the tasting, or the tour and the tasting. It is so cool. You get to learn the science behind it. You get to see them at work. It's so cool. You can book an event. It's great for team building, meetings, celebrations, and all that good stuff. Come in for a cocktail or even a mocktail out there. Buy a bottle or experience it at home. Gin, vodka, white whiskey bottles are all for sale. It's hushandwhisper.com, the website. They are open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. That is at 219 North Main Street. If you want to learn how whiskey is made, you can right here in Bryan. Enjoy it. Be a part of it. It is a cool place. It is Hush and Whisper, hushandwhisper.com. I want to remind you guys about Double Dave's. They've been around since 1984 in this community. They're awesome. They got your favorite pizza and your favorite world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Make sure you call them this week and maybe pre-party before the maroon and white game and also post-party. Billy, let's close out. Well, we're going to talk some baseball here in the last few minutes of the show. But the Zipper wanted me to ask you about the Legends game. That's what it's.
What does he want to ask me about?
Just your thoughts, maybe. Brandon Leone's going to play in it. We got a bunch of names, bunch of our buddies out there.
Yeah, I like
Colin
seeing
Gillespie
those guys have.
Right. Yes, sir.
Is there a name on there that you want to read me that's going to be like you did with the pro day where I was like,
a name you weren't ready for?
Yeah. No, I always love it. It's fun for the guys that, look. We didn't play on Kyle Field. 99% of the people listening didn't play on Kyle Field.
Yep.
Imagine being one of these people that played on Kyle, and you're older now, and you bring your kids to the game, and they didn't get to see Dad play, and
it's cool.
You're out there, and you're not only for like your kids, or some of them met their wives after they played here. Some of them did meet their wives playing here, and they get to be like, man, there goes my husband back out there on Kyle Field with the fan. I mean, it's a cool deal. I was when Letterman's, I believe it was them. I'm sure it was them when they started that up years ago. It was kind of like, where's this been the whole time? It's a fun little halftime thing, and I think it means more for the guys that get to do it. It's just fun, like. It might mean more to some than others. I mean, some of these guys sometimes might get pretty emotional, but then it's also really fun for the fans. You get to go, oh, damn, there's so-and-so.
I saw him play. Jake Matthews, the other head coach.
I do joke with some of my buddies on that list, and I won't say who, but you know who you are, where I'm like, they have taken this Legends term and gotten real fast and loose with it. With a couple.
I'm on the Legends team.
And I'm talking about only my friends that I – we'll say that directly to them, like send the roster and go like, what's the definition of
any legends
now?
that I communicate with?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Well, Leone, by the way, will self-depreciate himself out of the conversation because he's got like 0.0 ego and underrates. People don't know what an athlete. Go watch Leone's high school highlight tape, and then what an athlete he was. That he started his career at A&M as a safety and then went to running back. Unfortunately, you're behind a guy named one of the kind of forgotten guys in A&M history that put up some massive numbers in Courtney Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there's a couple. One of them will be getting a text from me today. He resides along the offensive line, but he has kind of horned his way into this Legends thing and is an annual participant. So he's going to get blown up here in about 15 minutes.
3 minutes left in the show. Ryan Prager going to go here in about 20 minutes or so. Hopefully after that, Tanner Jones, just your thoughts on this Alabama series to close out the show.
I'm really excited to watch this game today, the first game. And Tanner Jones, either way, he's going to be taking the bump in a pretty significant situation because either – you're on the brink of losing a series, or he can go on the mound today, a few hours from now, and have a performance like he did last weekend against Vandy, and A&M could win a series. They could wrap up a series in one day. Both teams have that opportunity. So it's tantalizing and it's frightening. Bama's I heard you guys this morning, we've been talking about it all week. That's a very good baseball team. Not only did they come in here and run rule you twice last year, in what was a weird series, and to me it was kind of A&M at their low point, whereas right now A&M's going in at their high point, but Bama's at a high point too.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way the schedule worked out, that they get to go back-to-back number one. I agree with Brauninger. I was thinking the exact same thing. Getting a crack at an 11 a.m. game versus that crowd at 6 o'clock on a Thursday night, what that would have been, might give you a slight advantage. But I'm looking at it like this now with this team. I don't think last night the bigness of it all would have fazed them. Just like I don't think the weirdness of it all today will faze them. It's baseball, and I think guys like Montgomery and Jace and Prager and all these guys, like these veterans like Appel and Schott, I don't think Burton, I think they go out and they just go play baseball this morning and this evening, just like they would have last night, just like they did last weekend, just like they did without having a letdown at a random like 4 o'clock game against a very capable Air Force team that had slip up or struggle written all over it. They just, ran them back to where's Air Force at? Is that Colorado Springs?
I think that's right.
Ran them back to Colorado Springs. I'm just saying the maturity of this team, I think they're built to handle any type change up they're thrown. But now, can they handle what's being thrown on that other mound this weekend? Because Alabama is one of the teams that can pitch with A&M. And I said it earlier, I think it's the second. I think the only team they'll play after this with better pitching will be Arkansas. But I think A&M's pitching is going to be the best Bama's faced outside of Arkansas this year.
Bama's won 3 out of their last 10, 2 of those, though, against Arkansas. We got to drop it right there. It's Billy Liucci. I'm David Nuño. We'll see you on Monday.